of all, it's really a pleasure to come into your classrooms, and we really appreciate your, everybody was just so open and candid and professional the whole time we were here, very, very helpful. And so it was really a great review for us. These are very intense experiences. I don't know if any of you have been on one of these. I think, James, were you on one?
Marita.
Oh, okay. That's right, Marnita, you were on one. But they are very intense experiences, and sometimes we think there's no way that in 2 days we can find out what we need to find out, but it's amazing, again, and certainly thanks to your help, we're able to do that. So one of the things that we've started doing with the accreditation report that you'll receive within about a month is that you will be compared. You did a self-assessment where you said, okay, this is where we think you are. We also used that same document and we said, okay, this is where we think you are. And then from that, we really looked at how can we help you move forward. Okay, we've had some conversations with Mike about there's a lot going on here. Is there something we can do to kind of pull this together to maybe make it a little more cohesive? Because everybody's really working flat out for these kids here in Merrillville, and it's very obvious. It's obvious in the recognition and the scores, but what's most important, it's recognition. We see it in the students, in their faces. I know that you deal with them all the time, but these kids are amazing, and we felt your student body was a real strength here. My colleague from Lafayette Jefferson made the comment coming over that compared to Lafayette Jeff, your hallways are almost like a church. During passing periods, it's so quiet and organized and calm. And I know we never feel our kids are quite like that. Oh, this is fine. This is fine. I'm finally losing my teacher voice like that. Anyway, what we do is you guys looked at the standards, standard by standard, and we look at them in a little different way. We put them together into domains so that we look at impact of teaching and learning, which is all of standard 3, which is teaching and assessing for learning, and then standard 5, which is the data piece. So sometimes when teachers will say, oh, I don't see as high a score as we think we should have for teaching, remember, it includes data analysis and data use and all of that as well, okay? And training and data, so it includes those, and it also includes the student performance data diagnostic. The capacity of leadership is another thing we look at, and that's standard 1, which is your mission and or direction and purpose, we call it now. The leadership and governance, and it's also the stakeholder feedback. Am I okay? Okay. And then use of resources. As the third piece there. What we're doing in our report is we're providing you with a focus for the future. Okay? We're not here to say, gee, you should have not been doing this or should have been doing that. As far as we're concerned, the past is the past. And we want to help you move forward. And you're doing wonderful things at Merrillville. We were so impressed. There are just so many things that I think you need to highlight. We were so impressed that when you wanted to, you're so proactive and you want to look ahead. How can we avoid this situation? It's a lot easier, to do something before you fall off into the abyss than when you're down there and you have that attitude. You want to know. You want to do it before anything negative happens for your students. And we were so impressed with the fact that you went to Massachusetts, for instance, to visit a school with similar demographics and said, okay, hey, what are you doing for kids? Wonderful. Okay, wonderful. I just don't know very many schools that would do that. So we will be presenting you with some in this report, not today, but in the written report you get, I'll just give you the highlights. This is the Cliff Notes version. Powerful practices. We also, the opportunities for improvement are just some suggestions that we have. And then improvement priorities, those are the things we feel that if you work on these, that they'll really have the biggest impact on kids. So opportunities for improvement, it's up to you. If you want to work on them, fine. If not, that's up to you. I hope you will. And knowing you, I know you will. I've never seen so many people that are so, again, eager and interested in keeping ahead of the game and helping kids. The improvement priorities, all schools must have an improvement priority. The philosophy is if we're into continuous improvement, there's something you need to work on. So the improvement priority, and we have 2 of those for you. Those are things we think that you need to work on for these next 2 years, that they're really important and you'll see a payoff for students. I'm also going to be sending Mike some information just from my experience with other schools in terms of the reading, because I know with PSAT you've started some initiatives there, and SAT and so forth. It's just what other schools have been doing too that's been helping them, because again we have that ECA data and then kind of that drop off on those college aptitude tests. So maybe some resources that would help there. From that, then you get an index of educational quality, okay? And to tell you right now, there's no pass-fail here, okay? You don't get a score or grade, you know, so to speak. But the index of educational quality just lets you know where you are, okay, and what you want to work on. Today, I'm not going to present that index of educational quality because we discovered during our debrief a few minutes ago that there's some more information out there that our team didn't have at their disposal. So we want to make sure that we present you with accurate scoring. So we're going to do some digging, and we're going to reconvene on Friday and look at that. So you will have that information certainly as soon as I have it. I'll send it to you. The stakeholders that we talked to, we had interviews yesterday. We talked to, of course, 4 administrators. We talked to 85 instructional staff. That included, of course, your media specialist, your media specialist, and some support, I believe, in the counseling staff. We had 51 students. A lot of those students we talked to during class. When we were in doing Elliott's, we like to, if their students are working on projects, move around, talk to them, say, gee, do you know how you're being assessed? You know, and the students are very, very helpful. In fact, your students, I don't know if we would have been able to do any Elliott's if it hadn't been your students guiding us through the halls. And on several occasions, evidently, we looked really lost because they just walked us to the next classroom. We had 5 parents and 1 community member that came in and talked to us, so we talked to a total of 146 people yesterday. And again, I say talk to, we asked some questions, and those of you who are in there knew we asked a lot of questions. There were, of course, hundreds more questions we wanted to ask. So the teaching and learning impact, again, really, we looked at a lot of things here. We looked at your performance results, okay, all of the performance results, your SRI data, as well as your ECA data, the AP data, the SAT, the PSAT. We looked at, again, we were in 92 classrooms. Actually, we were in 96, but 4 of those Elliott's we discarded because a good part of the time was testing, and that doesn't come off well on an Elliott. So we had 92 classroom 20-minute observations in a day and a half. So our group did yeoman work on that. And also we're looking there, of course, at learner and family engagement and the support services for student learning. And those are the support services in terms of the teaching supports more so than counseling and other social worker and so forth. Also the curriculum quality and efficacy and your college and career readiness plan. We find Merrillville High School to have a very committed staff, very collaborative. We were very impressed with the pirate partners. I know some people said, oh wow, I don't know about this, but we heard some very positive comments in all the teacher groups about it was so nice in a large building. Sometimes you don't even get to go into other classrooms in your own department, and especially to see other departments and what other teachers are doing. And teachers were able to share great ideas that they received from their colleagues. And they said they felt it helped also make that a more cohesive faculty to do things like that. A very caring staff. And you have definitely a positive impact on your students. You can tell it. Your expectations of them came across very clearly. And again, I know we're critical of our own, but those students in the classrooms, they were well behaved, they were respectful, they transitioned from activity to activity really very smoothly. So you really are having a very strong positive impact on these students in many ways. I so much appreciate the fact that because you've had an A for 3 years, you aren't in the mode of, oh well, we're an A, we don't need to do anything. We're perfect. You do not have that attitude at all. From the top to the bottom, even the custodian was telling me, no, we're always looking for ways to try to keep this cleaner and do this. So, I mean, everybody, yeah, we had an interview. I should have added that one. So there's no complacency. You guys are eager. You know what's best for kids. Always, you've got to keep changing, especially with the challenging population that you have. a very proactive staff, as I mentioned earlier. We were very impressed with the fact that, you know, you're looking ahead and saying, this is coming down the pike, let's get ready now, and do it in a very deliberate, thoughtful way rather than just throwing something together because the state is requiring it. And this staff also, I would say, has the most unified vision of any high school I've ever seen. Oftentimes at the high school level, we're famous for being independent contractors, and we do that very well, but you have really come together and for kids. And over again, we heard it was all about the students. What our suggestion is here, based on our Elliotts, based on interviews, and based on other information we have from the accreditation report and so forth, is that continue to work. I know that we heard talk about the Marzano strategies and the fact that, you know, those best practices in the classroom, making sure that there's more active student engagement. This is a challenge at the high school level, I know, but, you know, getting those students into more in-depth collaboration rather than just working kind of together in a kind of a superficial way, but really collaborating and learning from each other and working together. We didn't see much in the way of differentiation. We saw a tremendous amount of support, okay, where teachers would go around while students were working and teachers were helping and providing additional support for the students, information, teaching strategies. But the lessons themselves and sometimes the assessments themselves, we didn't see much differentiation there. So that might be something to continue to work on. The Elliott domains, again, let me explain here too. The Elliott domains, there's an AdvancED network, and this is the total, this is the average from all of the schools that have had reviews for the last 3 years. Okay? Schools are only compared to schools. You're not compared to the, systems or digital or anything like that. However, you are compared to all levels of schooling. So you are also in the pool with elementary schools and middle schools. Elementary schools, as we know, just operate very differently when it comes to, again, a lot of the differentiation because of learning centers and the way that they operate. So the scores oftentimes for high schools are, I notice, are lower than they are for elementary schools because of that, okay? So the domains, and I think, was everyone familiar with the Elliott, Mike? Did everybody see that beforehand?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and this is a tool that the state is making available to schools this year at no charge. So if it's something that you want, you know, you think, well, we could look at that. But this AEN average is about, I think, around 7,800 schools. The highest we found was the well-managed learning environment. And students can't learn, you know, if the environment that they're in isn't orderly enough for them to be able to learn. They can't focus on what they need to focus on. So the well-managed learning environment we found to be strong. We also found the supportive, as I said, supportive learning environment very strong. Where we didn't see the strength of digital, okay, we either saw a lot of technology or we saw none at all. And quite honestly, as you notice, I mean, you can see here 1.8 for this 1.82. That's again from all over the country and also from out of the country. It's low. We are still struggling with how do we get students to use technology in an authentic, meaningful way to help them learn, and that's a challenge. As I mentioned to the team earlier, I see an awful lot of worksheets being projected on smart boards, which seems to be rather a waste of technology. Again, we saw some lessons where that was being done very well and very interactively. I got a chance to see one, in fact, this morning, where technology was really being used to help the students and also to help the teacher monitor the students and what was going on. So it's a way to grow. Okay, certainly, but I will tell you that I've been in many one-to-one schools who have been one-to-one schools for multiple, several years, and I have seen scores that aren't much higher than that. Okay, usually, in fact, they're below the average as well. So, and again, I know that one-to-one is something you've talked about, that's coming. Some classrooms, again, have some technology, but it takes us a while too to learn how we can incorporate it, not just do it in ways that aren't meaningful for learning. And the second lowest we found was the equitable learning environment, and that's the one that has the differentiation piece in it. And we just didn't, during those, again, remember, we're not there for the whole hour, right? We're there for 20 minutes. So what we look for are patterns here, and these again are not reflections of teacher, individual teachers. These are just patterns of what we saw throughout the building. In some cases where they're at the beginning of the period, the middle, or the end. These do not go into your IEQ score. Okay, these are simply used as evidence for us as we're looking at ways to help you move forward. So this is why, for instance, we said, getting some more differentiation, some instructional strategies that really emphasize differentiation a little more. And I know that sometimes we've had those workshops a number of years ago, but sometimes we need to revisit that as well. In terms of leadership capacity, and again, with leadership capacity too, as I mentioned earlier, the stakeholder feedback is important here, and those are the surveys that the staff and the students and the parents took. And what we found here, a very collaborative leadership team. In fact, it's kind of hard to see where the leadership team ends and the teachers begin, because it's definitely a collaboration. Everybody is working together. Very visible. I can't tell you how oftentimes we heard from people how much they appreciated seeing administrators in their classrooms, because they saw that as a sign that the administrators cared about them and about what was happening in the school. The kids loved it. And the kids were telling us, well, I know kids in other schools, they never see their principal. So again, the kids are mindful of that. They are aware of that as well. And it's very inclusive. Teachers and students both reported they feel they have a voice in this school in terms of what is going on, what is happening, and they were able to cite chapter and verse about, for instance, being able for teachers to be able to use other options, with your PSAT strategies. If there's something that they have that would work better in their content areas, they have the freedom to come and say, okay, can we do this? And you welcome that. So again, that's a good sign. And the students were also pleased about the change in the phone policy before school. The enthusiasm, talk about cheerleaders, but I'm a firm believer that enthusiasm is contagious. And your leadership team here definitely enthused about what they're doing. They love what they're doing. They love working with the staff. They love working with the students. And frankly, the commitment to students in this building is awesome. I'm always disappointed when I go into a school and it's more about the adults in the school than it is about the kids. That is not the case at Merrillville High School. So you should be very, very proud of that, because you're really going above and beyond in trying to meet the needs of these students and take them where they want to be. Our improvement priority, or what we're recommending here too, is the school improvement plan itself and the process kind of behind that. This might enable you to pull it together so that you have all these strategies and so forth in a little bit more of a cohesive package. There was some disparity between the goals we saw on the posters versus the goals that were in the plan. So, kind of looking at that, especially a comprehensive data profile. And I promised to send Mike a sample from my school just to give you some ideas. But this is a data profile that is for you, not for me or for the state, but this should be your decision making. Any decisions that you make about what you want to do or as you're moving forward should be based on that document. So, just evaluating the impact of the strategies. This isn't working? Okay. Well, if it's not working, let's take that off the plate, okay, and put our energies into maybe some of the strategies that are producing more for us. The resource utilization. This is a standalone. Whew, wow. And I so admired, Dr. Lux, your comment about when you talk to legislators about, they say, well, money isn't important in education, but spending money well. I mean, the support that is here for students. The staffing, the counseling. Oh my goodness, we're jealous as a team of how well staffed and everything with the eye. How can we help our teachers do the job they need to do with the students, and how can we help our students be as successful as we want them to be? So the staffing was wonderful. You use your resources well. Our heads off to you. And this is a very safe environment. The first thing one of the kids said is, I'm safe here. And we could tell because we noticed the kids are relaxed. Okay, I don't know if you know, you may think they're too relaxed sometimes, but they are relaxed. When students feel relaxed, that means they're comfortable here. They know that they're safe here, and not only that, and since Columbine, interestingly enough, sometimes we poo-poo this idea of safety, but since Columbine, this is the #1 indicator of student learning. Because if students don't feel safe, their minds are busy watching out for who's out there to get them. And let's face it, your students are coming from environments that aren't very safe oftentimes, so this is their haven when they walk through these doors, and you have created that for them. The relationships that you have established are admirable. We saw that in the classroom and the interactions between the staff and the students continually. We didn't hear much, some of the freshmen, I think they're bullied. Of course, the upperclassmen didn't think there was any bullying at all. Surprise, surprise. But we just didn't hear much about that. And again, the kids will act up and they do the things that kids do, but they are kids. But generally speaking, you have a wonderful student body. We all said the same thing. They were respectful, they were helpful, they were pleasant, and they were articulate. They knew, they were talking about their classwork, and they were really able to explain what they were doing and why they were doing it. And I didn't talk to a single student when we said, well, gee, what do you think about you're going to do in a couple of years when you graduate? They've got ideas. In fact, a couple of the ones I talk to, they have so many ideas, they don't know what one, but how much better than that shrug that you sometimes go, oh, I don't know, who cares? These kids care, and you've made them care about their futures. The counseling department, we heard again rave reviews from everybody about the counseling department, and despite all of the, in a trimester schedule, what that means in terms of the amount of time of scheduling, and that always takes you kind of away from kids, that has not been allowed to happen. So again, also again having a social worker, everybody. So again, just kudos there, and all the support systems you have in place for kids. That success for all, and that failure is not an option. I mean, you live it. Okay, you truly do live it. You just don't have it on a piece of paper. So again, we found very high marks there. Okay. As I said, I'm not sharing the IEQ results because I want to do some further digging, because we think we need to. We found, frankly, we were pretty much in agreement with your self-assessment. In fact, in a few cases, several cases, I think 5 or 6, we rated you higher than you had rated yourselves. In a few, we rated you a little lower than you saw yourselves. But you did a nice job there. You were, really thoughtful about how you looked at that. So I'm going to be sharing this with Mike after. It'll be in the report, and a lot more detail certainly is in the report than I've presented today. But I want to make sure that's accurate before I share that with you. So thank you for letting me know. I'm glad we had that debrief. So again, by engaging in this work, you're going above and beyond, which doesn't surprise me after spending 2 days with you. But you could be satisfied with state accreditation and just do what the compliance piece, but you haven't. You stepped up and gone beyond that. And I think that's something that you should be very proud of among yourselves, but I also think that's something you should share with your parents, because you have a lot on your plates, and to, again, engage in that internal review on top of it, that speaks very, very well, and again, I think is typical of the commitment that you have. So we're certainly recommending accreditation. We don't have, again, levels like we used to. That IEQ score that you get will be fluid, by the way, so as you work on things and you say, hey, Leslie, we think we're getting better, those scores change over the years, and that kind of thing, and those scores, it's not an A through F scale. Okay, at all. It's just if you look at it, you'll see when you get that. Oh, okay. And again, you were above the average in some of them, and some of them you were very, kind of neck and neck. So again, we found this to be a very, very good place for students. The improvement priorities, again, the 2 that we will leave you with. Then we ask that you work on those for the next 2 years. And there's an accreditation progress report where you'll just let us know, hey, this is what we did. And this is the impact it's had on us, okay, especially on our students. One of our superintendents believes that this is the beginning rather than the end, and I love that. He often says, the internal review was nice. It gave us a chance to have some conversations we don't oftentimes take time to have, but what's important now we've got feedback, specific feedback, now we can act on it. So he, in fact, uses his report as his strategic plan then for the next several years. So please, when you get the report, wring it dry, okay? Everything that we've told you, including the good things. And there are a lot of good things in this report. Again, you know that. You're just doing an amazing job with the students. So celebrate those successes. Those are very important. I know we always go to the things, oh, we didn't do as well here. But please look at it in a balanced way and really kind of continue to do what you're doing. Just, maybe pulling things together in a little more cohesive way, a little more organized, putting some more processes in place. But we really appreciate the professionalism. You were very, again, genuine with us. You were great. James was wonderful about grabbing kids out of classes for us, all kinds of things. So I know it's hectic to pull everything together before the team comes in. And the hospitality means a lot because it enables us to do our job. As you could tell when you came into the room and brought us food, so our not having to worry about some of those what seem to be like minor details really help a great deal. We were here till 9 or so last night, continued on into the evening, and it's an intense experience when you're on these teams. So again, our sincere respect also for all of you and what you're doing has been very, very heartfelt. And again, we congratulate you on all the achievements that you have gained, and I know there are going to be more in your future. And again, it was a pleasure to be here, and we're your partners. Anything we can do to help you at any stage of the game, please let us know. If it's a matter of connecting you with some other school that's doing something you're curious about or interested in. I know when you talked about maybe we should look at some schools that are one-to-one, I can provide you with some definite or some really good folks there to talk to. So anything we can do to help, we're here for you. So,
Thank you,
anything
Leslie.
you want to say?
Any questions or comments? I would just say that I think your team was very professional in and out of classrooms. And we always share with our staff that you need not be afraid to look at yourself and see how we can improve your ideas. We will incorporate these into our professional development. We're going to start some discussions, and we welcome the opportunity, and thank you for doing
And I'll get the report as fast as I can. I want to clarify one thing, but
Absolutely.
I have another review starting Monday, so I definitely want to get the report written before, so you'll get it back a little sooner than usual. So, and also I'd like to say, Dr. Alex, thank you for your support of this school, and also extend that to the school board, because I know they can't do their jobs without great leadership in central office and from the board. So what you do for the kids is terribly important. So
Well,
thank you.
The strength is in every classroom, and every person that makes contact with the kids, and it goes on. It's been going on for a while, and I think it, as you point out, there's always more growth taking place. There's an evolution that continues, and it's based on self-reflection and self-motivation, and that means everything.
Oh,